Christmas Eve that never ended. It was December 26, 1996, in Boulder, Colorado. The Ramsey family home was silent, surrounded by Christmas decorations that contrasted with the tragedy that would soon come to light. That morning, Patsy Ramsey made a desperate call to 911, stating that her daughter, JonBenét, had been kidnapped. Instead of the expected panic, investigators came across a strange ransom note, detailed, excessively long, and written on paper and pen from the house itself. Within hours, the story of the kidnapping transformed into something even more disturbing. The body of little JonBenét was found in the basement of the house, wrapped in a white blanket, with clear signs of physical and sexual abuse and possible torture. The mystery, however, was not only in the brutality of the crime, but in the way everything around it seemed meticulously staged, from the ransom note to the disconcerting behavior of the parents. Imagine ter accesso a uma vasta biblioteca de titulos, todos em qualidade ultra HD, para você assistir quando quiser, onde quiser, isso que omega filmes UHD oferece. Como apenas alguns cliques, você encontra desde produtos que fazem pensar adequilas que te deixam na ponta do sofá de tanta moco. Navega por esse site a como passear por uma videoteca infinita, onde cada género, cada historia e cada universo cinematográfico estão ao seu alcance. Mas o que realmente diferencia omega filmes UHD a combinação entre variedade, qualidade e rapidez. Chega de links quebrados ou sites duvidosos. Aqui você encontra tudo organizado e sempre atualizado, pronto para ser assistido sem interruptos. Então, não perca tempo. Comente agora qual filme ou série você quer ver. E em menos de 24 horas, ele vai estar disponível para você em qualidade máxima. Prepara pipoca, agite o sofá e embarque nessa viagem cinematográfica com Omega Filmes UHD.
Past Santa Claus in his sleigh and a double row of candy canes, deputy coroners brought the body of 6-year-old JonBenét Ramsey from her upscale home. Neighbors described the young girl as beautiful and polite. In 1995, she won the Little Miss Colorado pageant. Boulder police won't comment on her cause of death, only saying that she wasn't shot or stabbed. They are investigating her death as a homicide. So far, no arrests have been made. This case started as a kidnapping. Police were called here to the scene at about 6 a.m. the morning after Christmas. Someone inside this house had made a 911 call saying that little JonBenét had been kidnapped. Well, when police got here, they went inside the house, and a short time later, they found the little girl's body. The parents, John and Patsy Ramsey, were home at the time, but detectives say the parents are not suspects. The father is the president of Access Graphics, located on Boulder's Pearl Street Mall. The couple does have another child, a son around 10 years old. Whether the boy is a suspect, investigators won't comment, saying only that right now, this murder investigation is wide open.
In the case of the child beauty queen found murdered in her Colorado home, Boulder police detectives have now returned from interviewing about 30 people in Georgia, where JonBenét Ramsey has relatives and where she was buried. A spokeswoman says the police have also been in contact with the girl's mother and father and hope to interview them later this week. Diana Olick has our report.
Investigators who have been focusing on the family home of 6-year-old murder victim JonBenét Ramsey have now issued 2 search warrants in Boulder and in Michigan, where the family owns another home. What they gathered is still unknown. Meanwhile, people who didn't even know JonBenét are stopping by the house to lay tributes.
It just really touches your heart. We've got 3 little girls and just couldn't imagine life without them.
In the weeks since the murder, we have learned more about the world in which JonBenét lived. A beautiful child of a wealthy family, driven to succeed in a unique world of life and pageantry.
I wanna be a cowboy sweetheart.
JonBenét was polished and precocious, part of a world involving children paraded before their friends and parents. She was named Little Miss Colorado.
Did JonBenét have a bright future?
Oh, definitely.
Talent agent Deanna Hediger met her 2 years ago when JonBenét's mother, a former Miss West Virginia herself, was starting her on the pageant circuit, an expensive and competitive goal.
She seemed quite involved.
in her daughter doing well. Was it really important to her? It seemed like, that she was really into it and really wanted her daughter to do well. Yeah.
The Ramsey family showcased their daughter in everything they did. This tape was commissioned by the Ramseys 2 years ago as a Christmas gift to friends.
Hello, I'm Patsy Ramsey. Daddy's not here, but this is JonBenét. She's 4, Burke is 7. And we'd like to welcome you to our home and wish you a very Merry Christmas. Right, JonBenét.
The privileged world in which JonBenét lived now extends even to her death. Her parents have hired their own private detective to investigate the murder in this home. Boulder police are finished here, and some detectives have gone to Michigan. They still have not interviewed the parents.
Mr. and Mrs. Ramsey, let's revisit what Governor Bill Owens said on national television this morning. He said that you were hiding behind your public relations people, your attorneys, and now you were hiding behind easy journalism.
As a woman, I am appalled that he said that. I consider Barbara Walters and Katie Couric to be one of the two most professional, experienced journalists in our country today.
They demanded and got from us the right to ask us any question on camera that they chose to ask.
We're not hiding behind anyone.
And let me say one more time, we said this the last time the governor accused us of hiding behind our attorneys and PR firm. We have no PR firm. There were no attorneys present at the Barbara Walters interview or the Katie Couric interview. There are no attorneys present here today.
The letter, the bonus, and the hoax. The ransom letter demanded an amount identical to John Ramsey's Christmas bonus, $118,000. This bizarre coincidence immediately raised suspicions. Graphology experts suggested that the handwriting on the note could have been written by Patsy Ramsey. But it wasn't just the handwriting that caught people's attention. The vocabulary, the references to action movies, and the attempt to dramatize the request seemed more like a Hollywood script than a real demand from professional kidnappers. The forensics team indicated that the note took about 20 minutes to write, far too long for a criminal in full swing inside the house. Even more curious was the fact that Patsy herself was the first to mention it, even before she had ascertained her daughter's whereabouts. Everything pointed to a staged scenario, but with so many mistakes in the initial investigation, the truth began to slip through the fingers of the justice system.
When the beauty pageant pictures came out and they put JonBenét on the cover of the magazine, they sold an extra 500,000 copies a week. They said, we want a story a week, every week. We don't care what the story is. We just want to put JonBenét's picture on the cover. If you've been following this story, you may have gathered that nobody knows very much at all. Police may have a suspect in mind, but if they do, they aren't sharing that information. And there are very few sources who are talking, which only fuels the speculation. Who could have done it? Who could have entered the house without breaking in? Who killed JonBenét Ramsey?
While the police cannot force someone to talk, there are several key people investigators would like to question. Tops on the list, John and Patsy Ramsey, as well as their son Burke. All three talked with detectives early in the investigation, but recently they refused to take any more questions. Questions the police want answered.
The crime scene that never was. From the very beginning, the Ramsey home was treated as a regular residence, not a crime scene. Friends and family roamed freely through the rooms, touching objects, moving items, and destroying crucial evidence. The police, inexperienced in homicide investigations, allowed the scene to become almost completely contaminated. When John Ramsey found his daughter's body in the basement, he not only carried the body upstairs, but also covered JonBenét with a blanket, further altering the original scenario. Later analysis revealed that the girl had been injured by a blunt object, and marks on her neck indicated the use of a homemade garrote. Other marks resembling those of a taser were identified on her body. But the most disturbing question still lingered. Who had the motivation and access to set all this up, and why?
Beauty. So you yourself had entered beauty contests?
Yes.
I'm a junior at West Virginia University.
So this was, what, fun for you both
It
to
was
have
the
her do
most
this?
wonderful time of my life.
Her father, John Ramsey, a former naval officer, led a successful tech company called Access Graphics.
Secrets, abuses, and conspiracies. Among the most chilling theories are the allegations of Nancy, a woman connected to the Ramsey social circle, who claimed that JonBenét was part of a child abuse ring involving members of Boulder's upper crust, including the White family, close friends of the Ramseys. Nancy detailed patterns of systematic abuse, private parties with children, and psychological control rituals. In her account, she links the Ramseys to occult practices, mind control techniques, and even secret projects with military connections. The Ramseys' home contained more than just Christmas decorations. A tape with instructions on how to use tasers, allegedly with a national security seal, was found inside. John Ramsey, an executive at Lockheed Martin, a company linked to the military-industrial complex, had access to technology, networks of influence, and areas of high secrecy. Could JonBenét's death have been the result of something much larger than a simple domestic crime?
Patsy cannot be 100% excluded, but they can't prove it's her handwriting. And that, of course, makes the police even more suspicious.
My theory is quite simple. Whoever authored the ransom note killed the child.
Your contention is she wrote the note.
I do.
You must have conjured something in your head.
We're going to be on the parents to begin with. Now, in the house, the ransom note is written on a pad that belongs to Patsy. So this is the notepad. This location right here is where the note was physically found by Patsy. The pen that was used was in the house.
Cover-ups, media, and the never-ending maze. Despite years of investigations, suspicions, documentaries, and theories, the JonBenét Ramsey case remains unsolved. The media has exploited every detail, often guided more by sensationalism than by the truth. The image of the girl, made up like a doll, has become the icon of an unprecedented media circus. Instead of seeking justice with transparency, the Ramsey family has hired private investigators and sued media outlets in a clear attempt to control the narrative. Relevant information has been ignored, witnesses have died suspiciously, and a grand jury has even indicted the parents for child abuse. But the prosecutor refused to follow through. Independent investigations have revealed connections to trafficking networks, satanic rituals, and cover-ups that touch the heart of American power. Perhaps JonBenét was not just a victim, but the symbol of a terrible truth that many still refuse to face.
1:01 p.m. Although the house had already been searched by patrolmen before she arrived, Arndt says that in order to break the building tension, she asked John Ramsey and his friend Fleet White to search the house again, top to bottom, looking for anything out of place. She says she gave them specific instructions not to touch anything. She says John Ramsey headed straight to the basement. She heard Fleet White scream for an ambulance, and then a chilling discovery. For Arndt, the pieces of the puzzle fell into place.
And I see John Ramsey carrying JonBenét up the last 3 steps from the basement. And my mind exploded. And everything that I had noted that morning that stuck out instantly made sense. And JonBenét was clearly dead. Then she's been dead for a while. I ordered him to put JonBenét down. I knelt next to her and I leaned down to her face. And John leaned down opposite me. And his face was just inches from mine. And we had a nonverbal exchange that I will never forget. And he asked if she was dead. And I said, yes, she's dead. And I told him to go back to the room and to dial 911. And as we looked at each other, I remember, and I wore a shoulder holster, tucking my gun right next to me and consciously counting, I've got 18 bullets.
Why did you do that?
Because I didn't know if we'd all be alive when people showed up. I'd said everything made sense in that instance. And I knew what happened.
Do you think your fear was well-founded?
You bet I do. There's no doubt in my mind.
To this day?
Never wavered.
You were afraid because you thought the killer was still in the house.